Let's go out on the Western Pizza guest hotline. Joining us from our Rider Broadcast Network team and 3 Down Nation, Justin Dunk is with us. All right, Dunk, thanks for making some time today, as per usual. And let's get right into it, because I think it was you on the post-game show, and you were talking about it. Hamilton is a tough place to kick footballs because of the wind. Darian Durant yesterday talked about when he used to play in Hamilton, it was hard to throw. You didn't know where the wind was going. Give us the 411. Why is it? What is it like there?
It's difficult, and from what I've been told with players who have come there through the years, and to be honest, I spent a year with the team as their staff writer and video analyst back in the early 2010s. I think it was 2011. So talking to different guys, and then kickers like my guy Rob Maver, who I played with at the University of Guelph. They said it swirls coming off the lake, and also the way the stadium, the direction of it. Sorry, I need to actually speak some words here for you guys. And there were some people that talked about when they built the new Hamilton Stadium after Old Ivor Wynn was torn down, that wanted it to point the opposite way that it does now. But it is difficult. It's swirly. You can see on the TSN broadcast at one point, at one end, the flags were still on the top of the goalpost, and then at the other end, they were swirling. So Brett Lauther's actually had experience there before. That's where he was selected in the CFL draft in 2013. And last year, I believe if you look at the game log, I think he went 4 for 4 there. So I think it's a combination of it being a difficult place to kick in and just Lauther having an off day.
Now, you live in Hamilton, so you know the answer to this. First of all, Mosaic Stadium here in Regina and Saskatchewan was really built well because they blocked off the northwest winds that used to wreak havoc in the old Taylor Field. All our wind comes from Edmonton, Justin, so that's why we're freezing all the time. But they really built the stadium well, and wind's nowhere near the factor. I mean, they aced it the way they built Mosaic Stadium. But I was initially watching the game in Hamilton, I noticed a lot of empty seats, particularly in the upper decks, a smaller crowd than I would have thought would have showed up in Hamilton. So I thought right away, how big are the steel tariffs in Hamilton? How much do you think that could affect the Tiger Cats with attendance? Because there's so many steel workers there, and they don't have any idea what their future is.
It's difficult when you try to gauge how big the crowd is. Man, I got to try to speak today, fellas, especially in Hamilton, because there's so many people, kind of like Pill Country at Mosaic Stadium, in that one end zone. I forget what they call it. There's a whistle there or something. They got something going on because many people come to the game and they congregate there. So it's hard to see those upper decks filled because people get their tickets coming to the game and they largely stay around the concourse level. Now, that said, It wasn't an announced sellout, and you would think the Tiger Cats home opener, yes, week 1 wasn't a great game for them, but that it would still be a sellout or darn near close to it, especially with the Riders in town. So I think that would be a disappointment for Hamilton.
Back to the kicking thing. And we kind of went through the text messages yesterday, and I'm sure you've seen it on the boards, and it's like, we need competition in, and some people to the, to nauseum, it's like, we got to get a new kicker in. It's not that easy, people. Like, it is not that easy. If you're not a veteran, you're going to throw some kid from college in to be like, okay, now you got to kick in this stadium, then you got to kick in this stadium, and it's like the NFL, right? It's so, you want the guy that's got the experience. Simple question, is there anybody out there, Justin, or what are some names out there that you think the Riders could bring in, maybe to just challenge at camp?
To your point that you're making there, I'll answer the question in a second. We had a caller on the postgame show call in and say, let's just bring in an American rookie kicker. Well, not only do you have to learn all the stadiums, but you have to learn the Canadian game as an American kicker. So I threw it back out to Rider Nation and said, okay, if you guys want to get rid of Brett Lauther, which I don't think that they should do, who do you want to bring in? Like, you can't just say we want to cut this guy, and this happens a lot with Rider Nation, right? Not just the kicker position, whenever somebody has a bad game, and bring somebody else in. Well, who is that person? Yeah. And then some of the responses that we got were, well, that's Jeremy O'Jay's job. But if you want to play armchair GM, let's at least do it properly. So the one name that I threw out there was Boris Beattie, who has been a free agent since the end of last season. He's actually designated as an American, but played his collegiate football at Laval University. Now, he has around the same field goal make percentage as Brett Lauther in his career, guys, but those stats, from what I'm told, aren't exact on the CFL website. I know it's hard to believe.
What a shock.
So that's one name that you could look at. And then, I pointed out to Rider Nation too, that Brian Garrity was here in camp, a Western University kicker, didn't look so good in that first one. Second kick came back and knocked it through. Then he gets released. They bring in Dawson Hodge. So those are guys that they've seen up close. But to your point, Barney, it's not just that easy. Like, you don't just get rid of Brett Lawther and bring in somebody else who knows all the stadiums, who knows all the wind patterns, who has worked with, this new holder they've had to work with because Adam Korsak is there. So it's a win.
That's right.
Let Brett Lawther work through the struggles. I'm sure he'll be fine. Like last year, you guys know this well. He missed that kick in the Labor Day Classic, ripped off 22 straight to end the regular season. And I think people forget, went 5 for 5 in the playoff game.
Yeah, they forgot.
Excuse me. So we're talking about 27 in a row, plus one against Otto, 28 in a row. And then, you need to make the kicks. Brett Lawther's apology essentially said that. He understands that there's a lot of weight on his shoulders. But they still won. Let him work through it a bit.
Well, sorry, Barney.
I know Brett a bit because I skate with him in the winter. He's a great hockey player, for starters. And the one thing, he doesn't look it on the football field, and I didn't get that too till I kind of got to know him last year. He is so competitive. Like, he's a competitor. And he backed. I remember I had a partial breakaway, and before I knew it, the puck was on. He caught me. Like, he's fast too. And I'm like, this guy's a competitor. So I can see it. It's eating at him. And he's probably like, I am going to shove it right up all those naysayers. You know what? And I'm going to go on a run here. And that's what he did last year. So it makes sense.
You could see the anguish in his face. He had his face sort of in his hands and whatnot. But it's very hard to be a kicker here in Saskatchewan. And let's talk about Paul McCallum. Paul McCallum, in probably a couple of years, will be, I would probably guess, is going to be inducted into the Plaza of Honor here. While he was kicking, of course, here in Saskatchewan, he had a pile of manure piled on his driveway.
I live right by that house now, by the way. It's like, that's the house.
So he's going to go from manure to likely in a few years the Plaza of Honor, and that says it all about being a kicker in Saskatchewan.
And let's add to it, guys. Brett Lawther moved there. He's chosen to live in Saskatchewan.
Good
so
point.
Not only do you want to cut the guy for one-off game, but you want to cut somebody who has made Saskatchewan his home, committed to this franchise, as Barney said, is as competitive as any kicker that you'll find out there for a one-off game that the Riders still want. Like, to me, this is where Rider Nation, I get that they're passionate, just needs to dial it back a little bit and look at everything from 20,000 feet.
Yeah, we see the same thing. You get it right after the games, and then I get it on Overreaction Monday. It's like, okay, let's put that on the shelf here. AJ, big run. Keyshawn, awesome. Harris, slinging it, eating up the defense, all that. Who really impressed you for the Riders in Hamilton?
A.J. Allen, for one, and I know that one play stands out where he forced Bo Levi Mitchell to throw early, but I felt like what went under the radar in that game, fellas, is the Riders starting 8 Canadians. And those guys playing largely the entire game, except until Sam Emilus went out with that lower body injury. So there's a lot of ratio flexibility here. I think A.J. Allen filling in there, getting the chance to start, gives him some runway there to perhaps do this in the longer term. He's going to have to stack these games together, but with CJ Avery, it seems like he's probably out for the season. I know Corey Mace doesn't want to say it with the bicep injury, but that perhaps A.J. Allen is a dude, a possible ratio breaker at that weak side linebacker spot.
Well, they did a heck of a job figuring out their ratio for Hamilton. I mean, they start a rookie Canadian left tackle, and they have 2 American guards. Now, when's the last time I ever saw that?
That's another thing about Rider Nation, that they don't get all that. I don't even really get into the minutia of it all. I know it's difficult, but it's just another thing that people don't. It's complicated.
Yeah, and they've done a great job in figuring that out, and they've also done a great job of keeping Trevor Harris standing up. I think he's fallen down once or twice all season, and with all the injuries and all the mayhem around their offensive line, they have still stood tall on the offensive line to keep him healthy, and it seems like everybody's mandate on that offensive line. We are not going to let our quarterback get hurt.
It seems that way. And we got to credit Trevor Harris for some of this too. That ultra quick release, like it really stood out to me on that drive to Keyshawn Johnson, where he went to him a number of times. Little RPO fake. He identifies the open receiver. The ball is gone. And that helps in so many ways, not just the offensive line, but it helps guys like Keyshawn Johnson get yards after the catch in the open field and find the holes, all types of different things. That said, the offensive line has been and continues to be, I should say, really good after last season, dealing with injuries up front. Daniel Johnson, I thought, was really solid considering it was his first career start as a Canadian at left tackle. Like, guys, that is ultra rare. The only other guy for me in recent memory as a Canadian that has started at left tackle is Ryan Hunter, who was the league's most outstanding offensive lineman last year.
Interesting.
It is ultra rare for that to happen. And the Riders have been high on Daniel Johnson. Corey Mace talked about him being the most improved player on the team throughout training camp, and that showed in Hamilton.
That was incredible. Actually, let's end here, guys, with something on the comedic area. Luke Wilson of TSN sending out tweets and said about Justin Dunk, he is in TSN's kitchen. Explain this, Justin, what's going on.
I don't think I can explain it, man. The only thing that I said to Luke when we were going back and forth texting is that, I forget when it was, back in the mid-2010s, I hate even talking about myself, but anyways, I tweeted out the first round before the picks were announced on the CFL draft. And I know that there were a number of people over there at TSN that didn't like it, so I stopped doing it. It was a one-off. People ask for it every year when the CFL draft comes around. But I don't do it because I don't want to upset people. Let's make peace, not war.
Okay, I have one more to ask you before we let you go. How did the tennis match today go?
I was actually going to try to mention it because Arash is a really good tennis player. I don't know if you've heard about this, Barney or Don, but he's a guy that so many years ago, and I was a former collegiate athlete, have some confidence, asked me to play tennis. I'm like, I'm going to whoop Arash's butt around this court. But I had barely played at that point. Like, we're talking about a few times pretty much for fun. Knowing now what I know about Arash, he lures you in and just stomps on you, knowing that he was good at tennis. I'm not joking. This guy's really good. I think he would agree. I had him on the ropes one time, and he conveniently needed to go to an appointment that he had. And he said he had to leave. And I was like, I was about to win. I'm like, bro, come on. We didn't actually play a match today. We were just out there hitting because we haven't been on the court for a while. But Arash is a legitimate good tennis player. But make him own up to that. I had him on the ropes.
Okay.
And he just, what would you say? DNF'd it. He DNF'd it.
Wow.
He retired.
Pulled the shoot. That's an
but he is good.
My phone's ringing.
He's good.
No, it's not. I'll ask him. Hey, we got him in like 25 minutes, so I'll definitely ask him. All right, JD, thanks for doing this, and have a good week, and we'll pick it up next week.
Sounds good, fellas. Thanks so much for having me on.